While you may think you know everything about the issues and intrigue of matters arising in the society, there are many expositions that will shock, baffle, and even enlighten you. The exclusive gives you answers to some of the hidden works of success. It is revealing, informative, incisive, educative, investigative, and soul-lifting. Join us on this special episode of The Exclusive.
Ministering Jesus Christ to others so that God might be reproduced and grow in people is the highest service one can render to both God and man. The greatest legacy one can pass on to his children is not money and not material things accumulated in one's life, but rather is a legacy of character, quality service, and faith. Because legacy is not leaving something for people. It is leaving something in people. On that note, we want to welcome you to the special edition of The Exclusive. It is that program where we bring you exclusive programs, unscripted interviews, special stories, and what have you. The ones that you get none other place than right here on this station. More reason why you need to stay glued to this station. Now, on today's edition, we want to talk about service to God and legacy you leave behind when you are gone. And to do this, we will look into the life of an icon in the Anglican communion, the father of Anglicanism, a man who turned from being slave of men to being a slave to the gospel of Jesus Christ. I'm talking of the first African Anglican bishop, our very own Bishop Samuel Ajayi Crowther. We want to talk about his legacy and life as an evangelist and a missionary. And to do this, I want to take you on a short journey from our studio right here in Abuja to Lokoja in Kogi State, where we stumbled upon a legacy of his. When we come back, I will give you a recap on his life and ministry. Right here, we're in Lokoja, a very historical place for the Anglican faithfuls. And right there is the Cathedral Church of Holy Trinity, where we understand our own very Bishop Ajayi Crowther stayed. And by my right here is the very first primary school in the whole northern Nigeria. You can look at it, Holy Trinity Primary School, the oldest primary school in northern Nigeria, built in 1865. We understand that Ajayi Crowther stayed somewhere there. So joining me is a vicar of the church to give us the foundation and the historical background of this place. I'm very sure you will like the ride.
The location of the church is part of the land acquired by the early missionaries. And the Cathedral Church of the then Holy Trinity Cathedral was founded in 1865 by Samuel Ajayi Crowther of the Church Missionary Society of Nigeria. The land extends to almost 3 kilometers away from here. But I think because there was no foresight at that time to secure the land, people have come and taken part of the land away. And even where we are staying, we have boundary with people of the other faith. And it is a serious struggle that we have been facing with them, because even up till this morning, we have to fight the battle of our neighbors throwing stones, throwing bottles and containers of other drinks into the church premises. But in it, it has attained a historical status, because as it came, and we know one of the strategies of evangelism adopted by Church Missionary Society, anywhere they go to for evangelism and they have settlement, it goes along with education and health centers. And for this place, when they now have a place to build a church and to settle for worshippers, they also came up with a school. And that is how the church, this school particularly, was established in 1865, the same year that the church was established. And the school has turned out many dignitaries in the whole of Nigeria. It became the first primary school in the whole of northern Nigeria. The then Holy Trinity Church has passed through different phases in the area of development. It has, right from its inception, about 4 of its structure, that is the physical structure, has gone down before we have this massive building now. And so it has had many priests, and we will not forget to appreciate the effort of the founding fathers in the sense of people that have labored to really establish Christianity and to bring about Anglican church in our area here. It was from here that a Church Missionary Society launched out, especially to Niger State. So all the Anglican churches we have in in the whole of Niger State started from here. The missionaries took off from here to those areas. And by 1984, through the creation of Lokoja Diocese, the then Holy Trinity Church now became the Cathedral of the Holy Trinity Lokoja, with the pioneer bishop as Right Reverend George Bako, OON, retired, and the incumbent bishop came in about 11 to 12 years ago. And we thank God for how God has led these fathers to establish strong spiritual and physical status that the church now, that the diocese now have. It may interest you also that the then Lokoja Diocese has given birth to many dioceses, like Ida Diocese, Ijimu Diocese, Okene Diocese, Ogorimagongo Diocese, almost 5, and we still survive. It's just like a mother that gave birth to 5 children at the same time and still survive, still waxing strong. So it has been the grace of God.
Just behind that church, there's a building there where we learned Corpus stay now.
Yes.
We learned that our own very Bishop Ajayi Crowther stayed there. Can you tell us about the building?
Well, the structure has passed through almost 3 to 4 stages of breaking down and rebuilding because of expansion. And yes, and it is true that Samuel Ajayi Crowther resided here because this place became the center of missionary activities all around. Initially it was in Bobe, but because of the hostility of the people of the other faiths, whereby the missionary chapel built by Samuel Ajayi Crowther was burnt down at the northern part of the village, and we also have the commercial center also established, influenced by the missionaries at the southern part of the same Bobe. But because of the crisis, they burnt all these things down, and Samuel Ajayi Crowther had no option but to cross over the confluence to this place to open a missionary center here And just as I've said, it covers almost from here up to 3 kilometers land. And where we have now as Paparanda Square was really Church Missionary Society of Nigeria land. It belonged to the church.
We say this is his home insofar as he accomplished much of his ministry here, but I mean, not as if he comes from here, but there's a lot. Yes, this cathedral is actually a church plant by him. It was in 1865, a year after his consecration, that this cathedral was actually built by him. And subsequently, not far from here, the Iron of Liberty, which was for people who had been slaves and who could run and find freedom. The life he lived, there's a lot to learn. In Lokoja today, you find that most of the old families have both Christians and Muslims. And it's because of the example that Ajayi Crowther laid that there should not be discrimination on the basis of religion. People should learn to live together as different faith communities, and we should seek to enjoy harmony. We also see that he had respect for the traditions that were not necessarily ungodly. In fact, the traditional ruler of Lokoja, who is called Megeri, the very first Megeri of Lokoja, was a member of this cathedral that Ajayi Crowther himself handpicked and presented to the emir of Bida, all right, as somebody reliable who could look after this town. And of course, it is still acknowledged today that they never enthroned a new ruler here without having an Anglican clergyman there. That is definitely there. And so there has been that respect for the Anglican Church.
And for the residents of Samuel Ajayi Crowther within the yard is undisputable. It is true. And that is why we have many of these historical leftovers around us. Behind me is the first primary school in the whole of northern Nigeria, opened in 1865. These bricks we are seeing now have been since 1865. The roof we have on top there also exists right from 1865. We refuse to touch it because we must have something to hand over to our children and our grandchildren. Our forefathers, our grandparents witnessed the labor along with Church Missionary Society missionaries to put up this building and the church that was also built. And posterity will not forgive us if at this time we now tamper with what has been historically preserved. Although it is a great treasure to us. And that's why even the state government Hotel and Tourism Board, almost every day people come from all over the country and outside the country to come and see some of these historical leftovers, the first primary school here. And right at the frontage of the vicarage there, you have a very small cage space there. We have there the Iron of Liberty. Iron of Liberty at the time of the abolition of slave trade. Because the colonial government was working along with the missionaries to ensure that slave trade is abolished. And for this reason, that Iron of Liberty was mounted. And for any free slave, either from the naval patrol upon the river, because what British government did at that time was to put naval patrol boats on the river. And for any ship carrying slaves and are arrested, they will be arrested, and then the slaves will be brought down to this place. And even if it is a slave or slaves that was able to find his or her way to this place and get hold of that Iron of Liberty, that attains the person the status of freedom from slavery. So we have that iron of liberty.
Which
Iron
means
of
it was
liberty.
a great success.
It was. It was a great success. Many of these slaves were set free with that iron of liberty. And so the whole compound, the whole premises is historical. You step into this place, you have stepped into where the early church missionaries have worked, they have labored, where they have had their first worshippers, from where it started expanding, the church started expanding, and it now gets to its present status of being a cathedral. We still run academics here, although government is in control.
We've placed a lot of emphasis on Western education, and it is very sad, therefore, that the legacies that are all around us, like this school now, in the name of it being for the community, the local government has taken it over, and if you see the roof there, it's not repaired, nothing is done, and they just tell us it belongs to them. And we believe that this should change. There should be a commitment to consolidate that legacy in a positive manner.
The reason is because of the negligence of the government.
Okay. Can you tell us more about that?
Well, it's the negligence of the government because education to many people and to some people in different leadership that have been coming and going. If education had been given its right priority in terms of government attention, what we have today wouldn't have been. Even the ones built by the government, we can look at it around. There's no attention at all. But we continue hearing from different governments that they will give so number of so amount of money for education, but we will not see it anywhere. And you go to many schools, what do you see there? Teachers that are half-baked. Teachers that are half-baked. And if it become a sin of let us just go and see them and go away, whatever we can eat there, let us eat it and go. This is the result, this is the outcome, this is a clear indication of what we can see of the attention of government today to education. This is where future leaders
Have
been trained and are still receiving training. People that will become professors, people that will become ambassadors are undergoing training here.
So, sir, if I
We continue seeing supervisors from education, continue having commissioners for education coming around here, and they have been seeing this. And the reason why the church is not fully coming in is because the government refused to hand over these mission schools to their owners.
So government is still
in control. Yes, they have the register, the pupils, they have the teachers here that they are paying.
So when the government officials come around to see the place, what really do they say? What did they say about the state of the building? Have they promised to work on it?
The usual promises. The usual promises that will never see the light of the day. The usual promises. They have the language. They have what it takes to convince the people. And this is that they are coming very soon. The church has been on it. Hand over these schools to us. It belonged to us. But up till now, it has been promises upon promises. And let us come around discussion to have a sort of partnership. They are not ready to do that. Ideally, when somebody says, this is my heritage, why do you come up to struggle with him? Give it to him. If he squanders it, everybody will see it. But give it to us first of all. Let's see what will happen. And that's what gives birth to what we have now as Good Shepherd Anglican Academy. The bishop saw it that the original mind of the founding fathers of these missionary schools have been bastardized. The original vision to train children that will be godly, that will turn out to be disciplined, is no longer there. We cannot open our eyes and to look at the labor of our fathers to be in vain. If they will not give us Andover Crowther Memorial Anglican College to us, let us begin another thing. And that was the mind that gave birth to Good Shepherd Anglican Academy. And the same thing with this one. By the time they give, there is a master plan for this building. There's a masterpiece, there's a vision for this building to maintain its historical importance.
Yes. Was pasted by NYC.
Tourism City.
He said Bishop Crowther Holy Trinity Primary School, the first primary school in northern Nigeria, built in
1865.
All right, sir.
And let me show you, these woods have been there since 1865. Now, look at it. You look up, you see the name of the C.M.S. there.
Okay.
C.M.S.
Okay.
Lokoja.
Up there, I can see
Yes.
C.M.S. Lokoja.
Yes.
Wow.
Most of these rooms were labeled that way. C.M.S. Lokoja. And these are the zincs, the roof that has been there since 1865. You go and feel the thickness. You see the difference between what we have now and what it was in those days. And the bricks that we have, these bricks, as we have it now standing, that is how it has been since 1865.
Wow.
Since 1865. So the pupils come around here. This is their condition of learning. This is their environment of learning. And if it rains, it means they have to move them to another place. And not that the government is not aware of it. The government is aware of it. But it's only God that knows what the...
So do you know the number of students schooling here?
There are many classes in this particular building. We have up to 7 different classes in this particular building.
Wow.
So we should count about 60 pupils here. Sometimes you meet some of them on the floor.
Daddy had given us exposition and a little historical background of where we are right now. You can see the primary school is nothing to write home about. It's nothing to write home about, and it's not good for the system of education of Nigeria at all. And we are calling on the government, whom we know they are aware of the state of this place. to come and preserve our heritage as Anglicans. The church is calling on government. We are calling on government. Please come and preserve the heritage. This heritage, or hand it over to the church as the church has been requesting. So, till next time, this is Anglican Cable Network Nigeria, and my name is Charles. Thank you. Good to know you are still there, and I hope you enjoyed that journey. Now, these are some facts you need to know or be reminded of about Ajayi Crowther. First, Samuel Ajayi Crowther was born in 1807 in Oshogun, in what is now called Isheyin local government in Oyo State of Nigeria. He was of Yoruba descent. Now, at the age of 12, he was captured alongside his mother, brother, and family members and the entire village by the Muslim Fulani slave raiders and sold off to Portuguese slave traders. His slave ship was conquered and boarded by the British Royal Navy ship, and he was taken to Freetown, Sierra Leone, where he was released. In Sierra Leone, Crowther was catered for by the Church Missionary Society and was taught English. He soon became a Christian, and on 11th of December 1825, he was baptized by John Rayburn. While in Freetown, he began to develop interest in languages. In 1827, on return from the UK, he became the first student to enroll at the newly opened Fura Bay College, an Anglican missionary school where his interest in language found him studying Latin, Greek, and Timni. Timni is a language that is native to Sierra Leone. Now, Fura Bay College in Freetown, Sierra Leone, founded on the 18th February 1827, is the oldest university in the West Africa and the first Western-style university built in West Africa. Ajayi Crowther married a school mistress, Asano or Hassana, a former Muslim who took on the name Susan after she was baptized. Ajayi Crowther accompanied the missionary named James Cone on the Niger expedition of 1841. He was expected to learn Hausa, and the goal of the expedition was to spread commerce, teach agricultural techniques, and spread Christianity, and also help end slave trade. He oversaw J.C. Taylor's groundbreaking work that led to the evangelization of the eastern Nigeria. He also directed the evangelization of the Niger Delta. Following the expedition, he was recalled to England, where he was trained as a minister and ordained by the then Bishop of London. In 1843, Ajayi Crowther returned back to Africa alongside a missionary named Henry Townsend and opened a mission in Abeokuta in today's Ogun State, Nigeria. While in Nigeria, Samuel Ajayi Crowther began translating the Bible into the Yoruba language and also compiling a Yoruba dictionary. And in the same 1843, a grammar book which he started working on during the Niger expedition was published, and a Yoruba version of the Anglican Book of Common Prayer followed later. Now, as a linguist, he also compiled a vocabulary of the Yoruba language, including a large number of local proverbs published in London in 1852. He then began codifying other languages. Following the British Niger expeditions of 1854 and 1857, Crowther produced a textbook for the Igbo language in 1857, another one for the Nupe language in 1860, and a full grammar and vocabulary book for the Nupe language in 1864. He was also instrumental to the translation of the Bible into Igbo language. In 1864, Crowther was ordained as the first African bishop of the Anglican Church. He was consecrated a bishop on St. Peter's Day in 1864 by the then Archbishop of Canterbury, Charles Thomas Longley. This consecration was done in the midst of great protest. He later received the degree of Doctor of Divinity from the University of Oxford. In the mid-1880s, Crowther completed the supervision of the translation of the Yoruba Bible. Bishop Crowther is regarded as the father of Anglicanism in Nigeria and is credited with the bringing of many Nigerians to Christ. Crowther was one of the leaders of the successful missionary venture that took him and several other former slaves to their native Yoruba land, where Christianity soon developed. One of the first converts baptized by Ajayi Crowther was his own mom, who took on the name Hannah. Crowther's language, Yoruba, became the first African language to be used in Church of England's liturgy. Crowther led converts of the Yoruba land in burying or destroying their charms, fetishes, and idols in what was described as a distinctly Protestant and evangelical style of worship, different from that of Church of England. Despite his passion and achievements, Bishop Crowther's mission was undermined and dismantled in the 1880s by the racist white Europeans, including some of his fellow missionaries. Samuel Ajayi Crowther died of stroke on the 31st December 1891. Crowther's grandson, Herbert Macaulay, became one of the first Nigerian nationalists and played an important role in ending British colonial rule in Nigeria. In 2014, the Archbishop of Canterbury and the leader of the Church of England, Justin Welby, apologized for the church's mistreatment of the Africa's first bishop, Samuel Ajayi Crowther, in a service titled Thanksgiving and Repentance, marking the 150th anniversary of Bishop Ajayi Crowther's ordination. In his words, the Archbishop Justin Welby said, "In spite of immense hardship and despite the racism of many whites, Ajayi Crowther evangelized so effectively that he was eventually ordained bishop over much protest. He led his missionary diocese brilliantly, but was in the end falsely accused and had to resign not long before his death." Crowther did not make himself grand, he lived out the commands of the words he took at his own consecration. And from his time forward, God has demonstrated his grace through that ministry. And today we honor him, and in so doing, honoring the Lord Jesus Christ, whom he served. We are sorry for his suffering at the hands of Anglicans in this country. Learning from their foolishness and from his heroism, we seek to be a church that does not again exclude those whom God is calling. We seek new apostles and the grace to recognize them when they come. And those are the words of Archbishop Justin Welby. Now, in August 2014, a sixth generation descendant of Bishop Ajayi Crowther, Dr. Stella Ameyo Adadevo, led the team that detected the first case of Ebola in Nigeria, and that was Patrick Sawyer, placing him on quarantine despite pressures from the Liberian government. And in the process, she paid with her own life, thereby stopping what would have been a catastrophic spread and explosion of Ebola in Lagos. a city inhabiting about 20 million people. Today, well over 80 million Christians in Nigeria are spiritual heirs to Bishop Samuel Ajayi Crowther. Now, in conclusion, I want to urge you, serve well. Serve as if you've employed your own hands to save your own life. Serve as if service is your life, and by serving, you are saving your life. Servants don't promote themselves. They work hard with all diligence and await the promotion of their master. As servants, we get our strength, instruction, and the direction of the master to accomplish all there is to accomplish without slothfulness or excuses, not turning left or right, but focusing on achieving the goal with tenacity. I believe this is what drove Bishop Ajayi Crowther to attain the height he got to in his service. God expects us to be diligent servants, just as Jesus Christ did. And after we have journeyed well to the very end, God will give a crown that will be far more awesome than they that did their work with the mindset of exalting themselves. We celebrate Bishop Ajayi Crowther today because he didn't look back after putting his hand in the plow. Shouldn't we do the same? Please learn from Bishop Ajayi Crowther. He didn't stop his work when he was undermined. And today, you can't talk about Anglican communion in Africa without mentioning his name. Please learn from him and serve well. My name is Charles Philip Wakolam, and this is where we bring the curtain down on today's edition of The Exclusive. But before we go, I'd like to urge you, please think about your legacy, because every day you are writing it. Do remain blessed.